It's a little scary when I looked at the x-rays and mine curves the opposite way. It's starting to get like by 17 degrees. I was like, this is not good.
Welcome to Sips and Sets. I'm your host, Nina Silic, and this podcast is all about combining the energy of your morning coffee with the determination you put into living your best life. Sips and Sets is here to inspire you to tackle life head on, one sip and one set at a time.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Sips and Sets, the podcast. I'm your host, Nina Silic, and today we are taking a deep dive into some more personal life stuff, I guess. I asked Instagram, I said this week, what do you want? Do you want an educational pod or do you want to know about a life update and my HRT journey and all of my recent health discoveries that are going on? And you voted and it was pretty unanimous. It's like, give us the update. So we're going to give you the update. So today I am doing more of a deep dive into my recent health and fitness journey. I feel like my health and fitness journey has been this huge evolution of challenges, getting through those challenges, more challenges, getting through those challenges, kids, getting through that, more challenges, getting through that. Well, I'm working on that part right now. So we're going to really explore my the first time. I'm going to give you guys some more context. So the first hormone replacement therapy I ever went through, I'm going to kind of talk about that because I feel like that context and that part of my life is relevant into what's going on today and where I'm at today with some of my health challenges. And we're also going to talk about kids, some of the challenges there that have come about, and then also my HRT last year. And then I've got some degeneration in my back and my neck and my knee right now. So that's the most recent thing. I'm going to share with you guys as well, not just what's been going on there, but also some crucial lessons I've learned along the way to help you avoid similar pitfalls in your own health and fitness journey. I honestly feel like that's been my entire my entire fitness career. It's been, I learned the hard way. I learned how to fix it. I'm sharing it with everybody. I learned the hard way. I learned how to fix it. I'm going to share it with everybody. And that's why I even became a coach because I just felt so strongly about helping women not go through what I went through. So here's another sequel to what not to do and end up like me. No, there is like a lot of things that were out of my control or I wasn't aware of. So let's kind of dive in a bit more into that. But before we kind of dive into the now, I think it's really important for you guys to understand context, especially if you have not been following me from like day one, which was a lifetime ago. So basically, you have to understand that my health and fitness journey started in a very extreme, unhealthy way. Prior to competing or really studying in fitness, I was a dancer for 20 years. So you have to understand I came from a place of really pushing my body to the extreme with like ballet, acrobatics, and then contemporary. Like there was a lot of a lot of mobility and movement and pushing my body to the limits just through dance before I even got into health and fitness. And then I started competing in the bikini competitions. And I got my pro card, my pro status really, really quickly. So once you hit that pro status, it's like even more game on and more extreme to kind of get, there's more at stake, right? So I started competing, and that was back in 11 was my first contest ever, which is crazy. So when I was training for those competitions, I literally felt like I was invincible. I don't know, early 20s, you just kind of go, nothing can touch me. I'm invincible. I can push my body to the limits. There are no consequences. Like that is literally what I thought. I'm like, I'm just going to get after this goal I have. I want to get my pro card. I want to be a pro athlete in the bikini genre. That's all I wanted at the time. I was like, yes, go, go, go. We're going to get that. Because I'm a very kind of, if I set my mind to something type of person, I just want to do it. And I get it done, even if it takes me forever. I try to get it done, right? That's always my mission. And it definitely was at the time, like many years ago. So it was like an intense period of time where I was training, not like today where we have a much, I guess, healthier approach to health and fitness and also competing on, although competing isn't necessarily healthy no matter which way you look at it, but there's more manageable ways to go about it now than just pushing. So back then I was training twice a day. I was doing hours of cardio. I'd sometimes do 2 hours of cardio a day plus an hour of resistance training. And initially started 7 days a week, which is highly do not recommend. Training 7 days a week, like 3 hours a day, and dieting, that was just not okay. Looking back, obviously, I know better now, but yeah, at the time I was getting guided by somebody, and that was what they recommended for fitness contests. So, what do? You do that and you kill yourself, and your body, it takes a toll. I did about 3 years of that um intense, and my body really suffered to the point where I developed chronic tendonitis and bursitis in my right hip and had to get stem cell therapy with that to help that regenerate. Like it was just so much overtraining and under eating, and it was like that body going through those same kind of movement patterns all the time, and there wasn't a lot of variation because you just had to get the job done. So when I talk about where I'm at today, like, but you have to understand back then, I was already doing damage without kind of knowing it to my body with overuse, adding a lot of stress. And after quite some time with competing, I it got harder and harder every time I did a show, like towards the end, to get to the level of leanness that you had to be competitive, right? Like it got very, very challenging for me. I couldn't eat any less. And then I was like, I can't do any more training than I already am. I'm just like dying. I'm a walking zombie at this point. So that's when I went to seek out an endocrinologist. So somebody that specializes in women's hormones and women's health. Not necessarily women, but this person's women's hormones and women's health. Because I was turned away by so many doctors initially where I lost my period. I didn't get my period for about 2 years, and I thought that that was probably a red flag. I thought that's kind of not normal, even though it was, like, nice at the time. I thought, "Oh, I'm not getting my period," like, that was my first thought, concerning, I know, and then I started to think, "Well, this is not I don't think this is normal," especially starting to get a little bit older. I was starting to think about, like, longer term. I'm like, "Hang on, well, what if I want kids someday?" I didn't want any at the time. I was still, like, early 20s, but what if that was an option? So I really started to go down that rabbit hole in terms of my thought process with, my long term health. So I saw this endocrinologist. We did a whole bunch of tests and it was not good, as you can imagine. So just the extreme overtraining, dieting for so long without many breaks, or even the breaks were not really breaks. The calories were still relatively low. I was still training almost every day, 6 days a week with cardio most days. So I didn't really give my body time to like adapt back from the deficit and have a proper recovery phase. It was just like, all right, let's kind of maintain you a little bit to where it's comfortable for you before the next prep. It was just like this little middle ground before the next show. So that was obviously not a good strategy. And but at the time, I didn't know better because I was working with other coaches who didn't know better, right? At the time, that's kind of what was around. This is before Instagram. I remember doing like some of my shows. Remember being on the airplane, fun fact, on my way to a world's contest in where was it? Europe somewhere. I can't remember exactly where we were going. I was like, wow, they made this thing called Instagram. I did my first post like on the plane on the way. I think that was like, I don't know, 2014, 2015 or something like that. So yeah, we're going back a second. My hormones were a whole mess, right? I had underactive thyroid, my testosterone was really, really low. My iodine levels were dangerously low. She's like, I've never seen them this low in anybody, let alone someone your age, which that was concerning. It was a hot mess, right? And then also mental health was terrible. My relationship with food was terrible. That was everything. But we're talking about like more so physical aspects. So I had to start that healing process with HRT, hormone replacement therapy at the time to heal myself because my body was just not. And I took as many natural routes as possible before having to take any kind of compounded medication. But it was just at a point of like, I need some help because I've done a lot of damage. So I spent like a good 5, 6 years, like really just focusing on my health, and healing everything from that because my biggest scare was I don't know if I'm going to be able to have kids. Luckily finally got my period back at some point and I really focused on reverse dieting and just getting my calories up and lifting to build some muscle and all of those things. But I did still do one more contest and I got super lean again. And after that, I just felt this pressure being in the industry we're in, and I was more of like a fitness model slash fitness influencer back then. So I wasn't really coaching too much. Like I was a trainer, but then I just kind of went from being a trainer to doing some coaching, but I was primarily more so like you got to look the part type of person was the, kind of the industry I was in and what was required of me with sponsorships and different commitments at the time. So I had this pressure to really still stay lean. So I was still, even though I was probably eating a little bit more food, I wasn't eating like that much. I don't think I went over like 1,500 calories a day at the time, and I was still training twice a day most days because I was doing martial arts plus lifting weights plus cardio. I was doing like a bit of everything. So even though I had healed, I hadn't really I'd still had a lot of work to do, I think. However, after that, I fast forward a little bit, fast forward, uh, found my now husband, married, pregnant with our first daughter, and I actually didn't think I was going to be able to fall pregnant super quick, but luckily we had no issues, which was fantastic. Like it was such a relief. But yeah, with her, I had no issues with my first pregnancy, and then after my first pregnancy, I everything was really good afterwards. Like I remember getting when did I get tested again? I think postpartum about a year and a half. A year and a half, I got retested postpartum on my hormone levels. I just wanted to check where everything was. And by this time I was living in the US and found somebody here. And everything was great. Like everything was really good. Actually felt really good. Energy wise, I think just as a mom, you have, your typical tiredness because the kids don't always sleep and it's demanding being a mom. And I was working on top of that with coaching. So there was a lot going on there, but I was in a really great spot and I was super proud of how far I had come from original like HRT and my mindset with food. And I had done a lot of like personal growth, self-development, and just working on myself and my mindset through that time, and then becoming a mom just changes you too. So that was fantastic. And I thought, wow, like if I have a second baby, it'll be great because baby number one was a pretty like healthy, smooth sailing, and postpartum, even though it was still freaking hard, health wise, everything looked really, really good. But something that is important to note is that after I had my first daughter, during that pregnancy, around the third trimester, I started getting pain in my left knee. And that was kind of weird. And I thought maybe it was just from the pregnancy and you know how your ligaments shift and things move around and you're bearing extra load. So I just didn't really think anything of it. But after I had her, I really struggled with left knee pain. So that was already beginning the knee pain. And I tried to go to physical therapy and try to get everything fixed. We thought it was runner's knee initially. So I was working around that. I wasn't really, I couldn't lift too much in terms of legs with resistance training. I could just do a few exercises. So I just worked around it. But overall, otherwise, I was really healthy and everything was really good. But the knee pains always bothered me since then. And I haven't really been able to push my body anywhere near what I used to. And then we had baby number two. Fast forward, so there's 3 years between our girls, and I noticed during that pregnancy, so the pregnancy was great, everything was healthy. Luckily, I've had 2 really healthy pregnancies, everything went really, really well. So very, very grateful for that, going from originally having to heal my body with HRT the first time and having 2 healthy babies and healthy pregnancies. I was over the moon with that. I could not have, planned for a better outcome in that sense. But with baby number 2, my daughter Akira, oh my gosh, the postpartum was really rough on me. I don't even think I've spoken about this openly, but it was really stressful. She really struggled to sleep a lot. It's still to this day, she's 2.5. She doesn't sleep through the night often at all. So the lack of sleep over the last 2.5 years has been struggle. And I've tried different methods like, with sleep and whatnot. Don't get me wrong. It's just, she just needs me and that's okay. She needs someone sometimes and that's okay. But it really did take a toll, that and postpartum mental health was not, it really hit me hard. With the first, with Aria, it hit me in a different way. It was more overwhelming in the sense of, wow, I'm a mom now. Like this is just overwhelming and I'm just trying to learn the ropes. But with Akira, I was really confident with, how to be a mom and do all the things with a baby. Like that wasn't an issue. We've been down that road before. But mentally, I just had a lot of stress and a lot of pressure happening from different things in life. And it really took a toll, and I didn't realize, and I started to notice actually during the end of that pregnancy that my lower back on the right side was kind of pinching, and I thought, "Oh, it's just because, the baby." And then after I had her with the breastfeeding, I did start to notice, like, I'd get tingles, like, up my back and everything too sometimes. And I did try to get looked at and massaged and things like that, but just being a mom and everything kind of took over. So the aftermath of baby number 2, I think that's when I started to really forget to prioritize myself. And I think this is really important to highlight that as moms, even as a fitness professional, I know how to take care of myself. I have all the tools and the skills, but sometimes mom life just takes over. Mom life and trying to create a business, trying to coach, trying to do all the things and wear all the hats. I forgot about me other than just trying to provide myself with great nutrition and moving my body and exercising. I started to ignore like the little I guess telltale signs from my body that things weren't quite right. And I'm usually the person that's like, no, stop, something's wrong, something's off. I need to go get this fixed. But just with having 2 little girls and everything that I had on my plate, I'm very good at I'm that person that's like that tough cookie that just pushes through and gets on with it, right? Not that that's necessarily a good thing. I think it depends on the situation whether that's a good thing or not. But it got to a point where I just kept going, right, with everything. And sometimes I'd feel really good, my body felt good, and other times things would niggle and really start to hurt. So that was the first thing where things kind of fell off in my body. And then the other thing I noticed during that postpartum, particularly, I noticed at the beginning of last year, things just started getting worse in terms of how I was able to show up for the day. So I just felt like this, again, walking zombie. And I literally thought to myself, wow, I haven't felt this way since I was competing. I think that's a problem, and I'm not competing. I'm not even train like 3 days a week, and I walk sometimes, right? It's not like I was doing anything strenuous. I was not dieting in any way, shape, or form or in a calorie deficit. I was just on my maintenance calories roughly and eating freely. So I thought, something's up. And I did notice like so many things like I felt like I was losing my mind because even my performance with how I showed up with working and tasks and just literally walking into a room and thinking I literally forgot why I'm here. Not being able to show up to my with my as my best self, right? And I'm this high performance, high achiever type of person naturally. So I felt like it felt like literally every day was you're trying to like row up the river, like you're wading through mud. Like that's kind of how it felt in the sense of I'm trying to get these tasks done and I just cannot for the life of me either get it done, or when I get it done, it's like making mistakes, or there's just a lot of red flags for me going on. So that's when we moved house last year to a different city. Hopefully it's the last time we move. If you guys have been following for a while, we've moved a lot in the last 6 years. Oh, I'm done with moving, especially now with 2 little kids. But as soon as I got here, we're still in Iowa, a different part of Iowa. But as soon as we got here, I just thought I really need to go get this checked out. I need to get my hormones tested. So I found a place that specializes in hormone health and well-being, and they've been wonderful. So they did all my testing for like kind of everything, but primarily thyroid, testosterone, obviously estrogen, progesterone, and just vitamins and minerals. And the biggest thing that came back was my thyroid was a little low, which I kind of expected that to be low just from the lack of sleep. And I've had some extra like hair falling out, which I thought, well, postpartum hair loss, yes, that's normal. But it kind of got past that point. I'm like, should have stopped by now. Why is it still falling out? So thyroid was low. So we got on top of that. But to my surprise, my testosterone levels, you guys, she's like, it says point 0.1 on the sheet, but we can't actually put a 0. So you're literally 0. And I was like, "Oh, okay. That explains a lot." A lot. I was shocked. Well, I wasn't too surprised. I didn't think they would be 0 because I thought, well, I'm achieving a lot for somebody that is at 0 testosterone. Because if you guys don't know, your fatigue, your ability to build muscle, like mood, like there's so much that is affected if you have no testosterone as a woman. We need that hormone. We need estrogen, obviously, and my estrogen was fine. But we still need testosterone to function optimally. Super low sex drive, no sex drive, you name it. Like I had the symptom, you know. So it was kind of a relief to go, okay, there's the answer. There's the biggest culprit. Coupled with thyroid, progesterone was a little off. So to kind of get that answer, and then some vitamins and minerals were a little bit deficient. So I was like, okay, got some answers, great. So I've had to go on HRT for all of those things, but it kind of explains so much why I really struggled to put on muscle. I really did. I just kept getting smaller if I didn't train, but not like super lean. It was just I kept getting smaller, and I'm like, I don't want to be smaller and still have the same level of body fat, right? I want to just be leaner. That would be great, if anything. But I really was trying to build some muscle, and that was really, really hard for me to do. And I was just wondering, like, what is happening? I thought maybe the lack of sleep, but just goes to show how much lack of sleep and stress can really affect your body. And then this time I wasn't overtraining, I wasn't under eating, but the stress and the lack of sleep for my body to recover and repair every day was not happening right. It was there. The stress was there, the sleep wasn't happening. So it just took a really big toll. More of a toll than I personally anticipated. Like once you kind of I obviously as a coach, like I understand that that happens and can happen to that severity, but you never think it's like going to be you because you're like, I have all the skills, I know how to do this. And you just don't think that's going to happen to you. Again, I fell into my, I'm in a much better place, I'm invincible type of thing. But I think having babies just throws things into a whole different field, whole different ball game that you're going through. Plus, you're trying to navigate life as a mom, then a mom of two, and then I'm trying to be a coach. I'm trying to do all these things, and it was a lot. I think took on a lot more than I probably could chew, and it definitely took a toll on my health. So, since starting HRT last year, probably this time last year, it's like night and day. Night and day. When I tell you in general, you guys, I haven't even been training that much, maybe 2 to 3 times a week max. But honestly, just really focusing on my nutrition, emotion skills, making sure everything is in check there. So I'm not overeating, I'm not emotionally eating, I'm not stress eating. I'm a stress eater by nature, believe it or not, and trying to move my body in some capacity. But what then started happening was what's been really challenging since then. Obviously, I feel better. I feel like more myself, which is wonderful. Cannot tell you how much I felt like just out of my body. Like the way I was functioning was not me. It was really weird. I hated it. I was not showing up how I wanted as a mom, like everything. It just kind of went down the toilet. I was like falling asleep during the day. I'd be sitting here like nodding off. It was so bad. So I'm so super happy that we've gone through that and figured out what the issues were. And I think there's this real kind of stigma around HRT. It's like, honestly, if your levels are off and they're low and you can't have your body, you can't heal it naturally, or it's really hard to do that, it's okay to get help. Like, I think there's just this stigma of you're taking something. Well, hell yeah, I'm taking something so I can freaking function and show up for my kids and show up for my business and show up as myself and feel good. And then I can work on the stuff. So now I've been working on getting more sleep, trying to rest and recover where possible, making sure I'm fueling my body, trying to train. Like I couldn't do any of that before. So I think there's this whole stigma around it and it needs to be let go. If you're doing it for health purposes, like now I'm at a normal range of everything where I should be, which is wonderful. And I'm trying to get to a point where I don't have to be on anything, right? Like I don't have to be taking any medication. Like that would be the goal. But sometimes things are out of our control. Like it's out of my control that my daughter just doesn't sleep well, and it's killed me. And my body, my health has taken a big toll because of that. How am I meant to fix that? I can't fix that. I can't just make her sleep, right? She's going to happen in time. And obviously, I can do things to help support her sleep the best way possible. And we do that. But sometimes it just is what it is. And you have to kind of work around it and adapt to the situation. And that is okay. But then there's always something, right? There's something else going on. So I've still had a lot of knee pain with certain exercises at the gym. And I've been obviously modifying the entire time, right? The last couple of years. And it just hasn't been getting better, even with adding a lot of mobility, flexibility work, lot of stability work as well. Nothing was really helping. And it got to a point where I would be walking in the house and I'd kind of turn the corner weird and I just get pain. And I'm like, this is not okay. Sort of running around outside with the kids and just getting pain, pain, pain. And I'm like, okay, this is not good. Not just that, but I also always kind of felt, and I'm fixing my posture if you're watching the video because I'm sore just sitting here right now. I started to really notice that I was always quite sore in my neck, my lower back a little bit. Like was always quite something niggly all the time. No matter how much foam rolling, my fascial release I did with like a ball or stretching mobility, it just kind of always be lingering there. And then there was a day where I literally woke up like 2 months ago, couldn't move my neck. Like it was painful. I've never had that in my life. And I just thought, did I just sleep really, really wrong? Like what happened? This is so weird. And things just started, like little things like that kept popping up very frequently. And I knew it was a little bit of a red flag. I'm like, okay. And the biggest thing, I still just thought maybe I had to get a massage. Things felt really tight, or some physical therapy. I did go for physical therapy with my knee, by the way, and they did kind of look at my back and neck and got some needling done, which provided temporary relief. But things just kept coming back. So recently, very recently, actually, probably when was it? 2 weeks ago now? 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I really wanted to find a different form of therapy for my knee because I just thought it's got to be a joint issue. There's got to be something happening. I need to get something new. And I found a place that does sound wave therapy, which is supposed to promote stem cells in your joint and get rid of scar tissue to help the healing process without going into doing like PRP therapy where they have to inject in your knee. And I want to avoid any surgery, obviously. I don't want to ever have to go down that road if I can avoid it. So I went into a chiropractic clinic that I found that did the sound wave therapy. I thought, wow, I want to try that potentially. Like, let's check it out. So we went there and they said, okay, we need to get x-rays of your knee, but we want to take x-rays of your entire spine as well, just to kind of check on everything. We'll get you probably doing some adjustments too, because making sure things are in alignment with your knee and see what's going on, right? Making sure, like figuring out where the problem's coming from. Okay, sure. So I did that and I went back a couple of days later to go over my x-rays and oh, this was like not expected at all. So I went in there and even the doctor, she sat down with me and she said, listen, gotta go over a few things with you. I found some things that I did not expect to find someone of your health, fitness level, and age. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go. So she started talking about my knee first. So we've got some degeneration happening in the knee joint, which expected. The pain in there, I was like, there's something going on in there that is more than just muscular, right? So I thought, okay, I prepared myself for that. That's why I found the sound wave therapy that you guys do. I want to kind of heal myself with that. Okay, so she started going through the x-ray with my spine and she started in my lower back. So I do have this weird, just constant pinch in my right lower back. There's just something going on in there. I can't ever release it. And she said, you can see in the spine there that there is um, stage 1 degeneration starting to happen just from it being misaligned. It's literally getting like a sideways curve in there, starting to happen in there. I'm like, okay, great. She went in over it in a lot of detail over the x-ray and you can clearly see it on the x-ray. But she's like, it's okay, stage 1, it's not too bad. We can really fix that and work on that. That's okay. And we should be able to get rid of that kind of discomfort that you have over time. But the real issue is actually in my neck, which I never thought I had any issues in my neck other than just being a little tight in my traps and things like that. and which I've just tried to manage myself or getting a massage, right? And it's a little scary when I looked at the x-ray. So your natural curve of your neck is meant to curve like, I can't show you guys on the pod if you're watching on YouTube. It's meant to go like this way, almost like a C, like a little curve that way. And mine curves the opposite way. It's starting to get like by 17 degrees. I was like, this is not good. Okay. And then you can see there's some degeneration happening in my neck. And it's stage 2, which means the stage 1, 2, and 3. I'm not an expert in this. I'm just trying to relay what she was talking about. So don't come at me. But basically, stage 1 is like, okay, it's kind of going left field. We can fix it. Stage 2 is, listen, we really have to fix it. You're in pain. If you don't fix it, stage 3 is surgery. So you got to get on it. So that's stage 2. And it makes sense because even sitting here now, like I'm in pain, and it's just gone from 0 to 100. So like for January this year, I didn't have any pain, nothing. I just would get tightness. And then the last couple of months, like pain. So it's just escalated very, very quickly for me to be able to recognize any kind of big red flags. It was more just, I'm sore from training, or I'm a little sore from my posture being bad, or being with the kids, or whatever it is, right? Slept a bit wrong. That's always how it felt. So it was just really interesting to me to really see it and go, hang on, nothing really jumped out at me as being really bad until I woke up that day and had a lot of pain. And that's when I went to physical therapy first. I knew that wasn't really working, and I found this place instead. So that's where we're at, you guys. That's where we're at. And honestly, it was very disheartening to me to hear that, because I've always taken care of my body. Okay, hang on. I have always taken care of my body to the best of my ability. Aside from the years where I didn't know better and I slammed myself. But obviously, like, everything started from then. So I did speak to her about, how did this come about? Like, how have I developed this when I've been like really great the last few years, especially last 6 years, especially. Everything's felt really, really good. Aside from just niggles here and there, right? So she said it probably began when you were competing and everything was extreme then, but I was managing it very often with a physical therapist and chiropractor. I was doing that all the time in Australia while I was training so much, like I just had to. So it did start back then, but most likely just because of overuse and the extreme measures I took and the stress on my body. And then I was able to manage everything right, because I was taking care of that. And then moving to the US, I just didn't really have those resources handy, or it was really hard, like moving country, then having a baby, or very quickly after that. And it's just a lot. So I was like, and then we kept moving, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't have anyone I know to go to." So basically, I having babies then didn't help with that too. And that can cause a lot of stress in your body and misalignments and things like that. So it really kind of hit me hard for 2 reasons, I think. And listen, I've got some great answers. I've got a strategy now to work on things. And that's how I'm looking at it. I could literally sit there. I had my cry for a day where I was like, this sucks. Like, how did I let it get to this point? And I had my cry about it. It hit me pretty hard. And then I just thought, listen, okay, you've got your answers. You know what's happening. Now we can put some solutions into place and get better and get out of this situation. And that's always been my mentality with anything that's been thrown at me. Like when I had my hip, or, just my health issues. The first time I was on HRT, I just thought you have to fix it and find a way to fix it. Like, this is it. It is what it is. We got here. Now we know better, right? Like we can work our way around it and learn to work with our body now instead. So that's where I'm at with it now. But to kind of get really honest with you guys, and that's why I really want to do these solo episodes too, and share some more personal things, is because I just want to have these deeper dive conversations that are honest and raw. This is what I've struggled with a little bit. Is I am a health and fitness coach, right? I help people feel better, live a better life, change their body, and just freaking feel awesome. Like, that's the goal, right? That's what I do. And sometimes I know I'm really good at that. And I have all the confidence in helping other people. Sometimes when then I go through something like now, it's hard for me to kind of, I guess, swallow that pill because I know I put this pressure on myself. Sometimes I think, oh, people are going to come at me or are people not going to think as highly of me as a coach if I'm then not the epitome of health, right? And I know that's like impossible. Like no one is the epitome of health. We all have our issues and it's like an ongoing work a project that you work on, I guess, right? It's an ongoing learning curve. It's ongoing when we have to learn how to adapt as our bodies adapt or we're in different stages of life. And very logically, I understand all of those things, and that's how I do live my life. But sometimes it does get to you as a human because I'm still a human at the end of the day, right? We all have feelings, we all have intrusive thoughts, we all have these things that kind of come about. And I just sometimes think, oh my gosh, like, should I have known better? Are people going to think that I should have known better? Even though I shouldn't care what people think, sometimes I do, and that's normal. And it does get to me and think, oh, are people, someone going to think I'm not as good of a coach because I couldn't see that in myself and my own health? But on the flip side, I see it as this. I see it as even though I have all the knowledge in the world, well, not all the knowledge in the world, let's like rephrase that. That's a stretch. Even though I have a lot of knowledge around health and fitness and my ability to help others is high, like I help others really, really well. I think it's important to highlight that I still can let the ball drop, right? I can um still have the times where I forget to focus on my own needs because sometimes I'm so focused on everyone else's needs, like my family, my kids, my clients, and then I lose sight of what I maybe need or some red flags that are popping up from my body telling me, hey, this is not quite right. We're giving you the signals. You're not quite hearing the signals. So, with that being said, I think it's important for you guys to hear that someone as myself, who is a health and fitness professional, and I have been doing this a very long time, and I am very in tune with my body, I can lose sight of these things sometimes too if they're not front of mind. I'm not constantly putting my health and fitness as a priority or putting certain habits and behaviors in place to help maintain every aspect, right? You've got like that ebb and flow. Sometimes we toggle back and forth between our focus is over here and now it's over here. Maybe it's on my nutrition, health, and behaviors. Maybe now it's on my training. Okay, now it has to be in my my overall mobility, my body's health, everything else, right? That comes with it. So I think sharing that with you guys, my purpose behind that is if you are someone who doesn't have the education behind you with nutrition, with training, overall health and fitness habits, behaviors, hopefully that helps you feel like, okay, for me to not know what to do, or I haven't been able to put these things into practice, or I forgot to prioritize my own health for a little bit, that it's just so common, that it's just so normal for that to happen. So it can happen to someone like me, it can easily happen to someone who doesn't have knowledge in this field, very, very easily, obviously. And I don't want you guys to feel bad about when that happens. It's just you don't have the skills yet to put these practices into place. And even someone, I do have the skills, I do have the knowledge, but I still let mum life take over. I still let other priorities take over. And I now think, "Oh gosh, I could have done XYZ to kind of prevent these things." My other areas in my life were fantastic. My nutrition was great. Some things were out of my control, but to get to a point where, like, I'm in pain, my neck and my back really sucks. I just kind of kicking myself for it. I could have done some little things if I just kind of made that a priority and more of maintaining my body's health in that sense of things. And just going, okay, I'm just gonna go get regular massages or regular adjustments at the chiropractor or, regular physical therapy just to make sure everything is feeling really good. And all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're like, holy shit, I'm in pain. Like, what happened? I literally felt like that. I felt like I'm fine. And then, oh my gosh, what just happened? Like it went from 0 to 100. So don't feel bad if it is you. And if, like I said, for me, like I do struggle with that a little bit. I'm like, oh, why did I let it get to this? But life happens. It just shows life freaking happens. No matter if you have the knowledge or not, life happens. And sometimes you do need that kind of extra guidance. So we're here. But at the end of the day, like challenges are going to happen, you guys, and they're going to come at you. And I've just developed this perspective now that it's how you handle the situation. You can dwell in it, you can let it take over your life. Like I said, I gave myself a day. I gave myself a day to just feel all the feelings recently and to just have a cry and be like, okay, this is shitty. This sucks. It's really frustrating too because I just want to go train like hard as fuck. Like I just really want to go train really, really hard like I used to, and my body's not allowing me to right now. And that's okay. I got to work within its means. But we just got to be solution oriented, right? Like no matter what you've got going on in life. So now it's more about, right, what can I do versus what can't I do? So I've had to really modify training like so much to the point where I just feel like honestly I'm going through the motions and I'm doing bare minimum variety of exercises. But hey, I can still train to some capacity. That's a win. I can still walk. That's a win. I can't run right now, but I think whatever. I didn't love running anyway. Although I kind of want to just run now because I can't. It's kind of weird. But I do want to be able to push my body a little bit more and feel like super strong and fit. And even though I feel pretty strong, I just don't feel at my optimal level like I know where I could be. So that's been challenging, but at the same time, just thinking, all right, instead of what I cannot do, what can I do? So if we really look at this year, even last year, with all the struggles and the challenges, all I've really been doing is keeping the momentum going, right? I've been keeping the needle moving forward in some capacity, even though some more hiccups have come up and more challenges have come up, more roadblocks. It happens. Okay, I'm going to deal with it. But when I tell you guys, like I still feel like I'm in pretty good shape. I still feel reasonably fit. I still feel pretty strong. I know I want to be up here. I'm down here right now, but I still feel relatively okay, right? So I think it's important for you guys to realize that, hey, I can do the bare minimum, like, and get a result. Right now, when I tell you, I feel like I'm literally doing the bare minimum with everything, really doing the bare minimum. I'm not doing anything special. I'm literally training 2, 3 days a week, and they're not hard, vigorous training sessions, as you can see from everything I've just highlighted with what's going on with me. They just get to the gym and do some exercises, walking. And then in regards to my nutrition, I'm just using my eating skills and my nutrition knowledge to make sure I'm fueling my body adequately. I'm not in a deficit by any means. I'm not trying to be right now. Prioritizing protein, making sure I eat meals frequently and choosing meals that are filling and satisfying, and still choosing foods I love. I'm working on sleep, like that's still a battle with my little one, but we're getting there. And I'm just trying to, and water intake, for example, trying to manage stress. So when I tell you guys, you don't have to be doing crazy things to still make some form of progress with your health and fitness, whatever your primary focus is. You really don't have to. I kind of feel like I kind of feel like I'm not cheating right now, but more so I feel like people expect me to say I'm doing all this crazy stuff like tracking my macros and I'm eating to a T and following my nutrition with all this discipline and training like this strict regime. And I'm just like, no, I'm really not doing that. But the point is I've had so much practice over the years that I don't have to do that. And right now I'm dealing with more health focused. More health focused physically and mentally right now than trying to get lean. So it's not really a priority for me at the moment. And you can make fantastic progress with just the bare minimum stuff. And that's how I'm just maintaining right now. So I think that's a really important thing to highlight. So here we are, just coping with the changes, trying to change perspective, trying to move forward because that's what we can really do, right? Trying to find that balance with everything I've got going on. I think that's been a big struggle this year as well, is um, coaching business is great. I love my clients. I love giving so much to them. Trying to be a mom of two, trying to be a wife, trying to just do all the things. It's hard. It's not easy, right? And just trying to adapt to life. And unfortunately for me, I had a lot going on where I didn't notice my neck and my back really starting to flare up a lot more. And it's okay, happens. It is what it is. We're here now, and now we've got to fix it. So I'm really going to try to keep sharing more about this and really keep up to date with me, you guys. Even on Instagram, I'm going to share the progress. I'm sure it's going to suck, and it's going to be about a 2-year recovery apparently for everything going on with my neck and my back and my knee, which also sucks. But then you look at it as this, I just think, okay, it's 2 years, but what's 2 years in the grand scheme of the next 30 years that I want to live the best life I possibly can, physically and mentally? So it's not really anything in the grand scheme of things. And in the last 36 years, it's 2 years. Like, it's not anything, right? So we have to look at it that way and switch our perspective sometimes to kind of go, all right, let's not focus on just all the negative stuff. Like, what's the positive? What can you still achieve? What can you still do? We got to look at it that way. Okay, there's a life update. Well, it's more of like the health life update. It's not like life, right? So if you have any questions around that, please don't hesitate to ask. I'd love to always be an open book for you guys and answer as many questions as possible. But I'm going to leave you guys with some little points around my do's and don'ts. The do's and don'ts. I wish I didn't have to always learn things after the fact, but that seems to be a common theme in my life. Hopefully I can help you guys who do coach with me not go through all the same things I did. That's like the main goal, right? So some lessons for my listeners. Let's talk about some of the don'ts first, right? What not to do to ruin your health, right? So first thing you want to do is avoid extremes at all costs. I can't tell you how much those extremes years ago just started the most downward spiral for me in so many ways, and I'm still paying for it today. You can clearly see. Obviously, it's been triggered by other things recently, but it was there from many years ago, right? So steering clear from extreme diets, steering clear from extreme training programs, overtraining, anything like in that shape or form that can harm your body is really important. And don't ignore the warning signs. Don't be like me. Not that I did it intentionally, just life happened, right? So don't ignore your body's warning signals. They might be like tiny, 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 and you might not think anything of it, like me. Pain and fatigue are signs of something that need attention. So don't be like me. Don't do that. Really pay attention to those things. And for me, honestly, it's been more that having kids has, I guess, what's the word? Muffled those signals. They're not as loud as they used to be because I have so much more priority in my life going on that they seems like that noise is very quiet. So really pay attention to those things that need your attention. Don't compare yourself to other people. Your journey is super unique, so comparing yourself to others can really lead to like that unnecessary pressure and disappointment. And I just went through that too. I'm like, oh, what if people think this, or what if this, and blah blah blah. And I think it's important to highlight too that I know like Instagram really is like a highlight reel, right? Like I can only share so much on there. It's all short form stuff for the most part. And it can be really easy to look from the outside in and think, oh, she's got it all together, like everything's peachy. When no, like I'm still a human. I still go through life. I still go through my challenges too. Everyone's going through something. So don't compare yourself to someone else's highlights because it's not the whole picture, right? Could be real life or aspects of their real life, but it's not the whole picture. Do not neglect recovery. Recovery. Listen, I do let my body recover in between training. It's not what I do anymore, but I never used to. But recovery is just as important as your training. Overtraining can lead to injuries, long-term health issues. That's exhibit A over here. So really, really make sure if you're someone that's training like 7 days a week, you need rest days. You need to incorporate that in. And the big one, do not sacrifice long-term health for your short-term gains. So a lot of you are like, I want to lose 30 pounds yesterday. Well, no, let's just do that sustainably, slowly, at the pace it should be done. and avoid making the choices that compromise your long-term well-being for immediate results, right? We need to look at that. Okay, let's look at the do's, some things you can do and you should do. Obviously, listen to your body. Okay. Pay attention to those signals, even if they're very, very teeny tiny, and not very loud. You need to pay attention to those and not push through. Seek professional guidance. Work with any health professionals who can provide tailored advice or support, depending on where you're at. Like if it's more just about living a healthier lifestyle, health and fitness coach would be great. If it's more serious, like something like myself, anyone who suits your needs, like a chiropractor, physical therapist, like anyone along those lines, depending on what your needs are at. Always seek that out. Focus on sustainable practices. Like this is the biggest one, you guys. Opt for balanced and sustainable fitness and dietary practices over anything extreme. And the trade off with that typically is that your results will most likely take longer, but you have to look at the trade off and what the cost is to the benefit. And embrace being flexible, not physically necessarily, even though that's a good thing if you can get flexibility physically, but really be willing to adapt your goals and routines as life changes, right? So flexibility is the key to long-term success, I believe, and being able to adapt to anything life throws at you. So I could easily right now just be like, all right, I have these challenges, whatever, I'm not training, I'm going to go eat all the things, YOLO, what's the point? No, I can still keep moving forward with everything I can do because there's a lot I can still work on to still reach my goals. Might take longer. It might be modified. It might be a slightly different approach. I can't do everything I want to do necessarily, but I can still do a lot of the things that I need to do. And lastly, prioritize mental health, mental well-being. Gosh, it's like everything. I can't even stress that enough, that your mental well-being is like the central part of your health and fitness journey and your relationship with food, how you feel about yourself, just feeling less stressed, feeling good. Like it's all really, 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 really important. And don't neglect that part either. Okay. I think that's all I have to share with you guys today. Thank you so much for listening. Don't please be kind. It's hard being vulnerable, even though I've been on the internet for a very long time. It's still hard to this day being vulnerable about certain things and showing up as your authentic self. I think it never gets easy. I never find it really easy. But I'd love you guys to share your thoughts below on this episode or ask any questions or share your own experiences. I'd always love to hear about that as well. And yeah, I just want to be able to open the doors, open this conversation up for more things that we can talk about that maybe you probably haven't heard many people share, or you've been too scared to talk about with somebody. So I'd love to be there for you guys in every aspect of your journey. In saying that, thank you for listening. That is it. Love if you guys can subscribe to the podcast, follow, support this episode and share it, leave a comment. It all helps. And I will catch you on the next one.